To the Cavs today. I want to remind everybody it's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and much more. All you have to do is visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And guys, we've gotten through all of our tickets, so if you have any new winning tickets, make sure you message McNuggets or send them in via the UCSS email, and we will put them on the show.
Very good. All right, we got to dive into the Cavs. This is where we have to start. Game 6 tonight. We kind of touched on where we feel. Interested to see where Mr. Kool-Aid sits for tonight's Game 6.
Yeah.
But the troubling thing for me, Bull, you made a point most of the regular season to punch the fact that one of their weaknesses last year became one of their strengths this year, and that was their road play.
Right.
But we got to the playoffs, and they've lost the 2 games in Orlando by a total of 61 points, I believe. Their average loss in their last 4 playoff road games, because remember, they were laid eggs in New York last year, too.
Yep.
They've lost 4 straight road games in the playoffs by an average of 22.5 points.
Oof.
These are playoff games, and all of these games were against a seed lower than them.
Yep.
So they were favored to win the series, and they're 0 for their last 4 in their road playoff games, an average margin of defeat of 22.5 points. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, and there's a reason why they're. Remember in Game 3, the Cavs, obviously dominated the first 2 games. And then in Game 3, the Magic were a slight favorite, and a lot of people were like, what's going on? Why are the Magic favored? Because we know in the NBA that for whatever reason, this is a lot of reasons, that the team that has home court, the others usually are more comfortable, the non-stars, and they play better. And that's what we've seen in this series. In all the home games, the others, the extras, the non-stars, played better for the team that won. It was that simple. This last game obviously was really close here in Cleveland. It could have gone either way. It was really the first game that was like that. But, the Cavs, I can't even say they have momentum because they had momentum going into Game 3.
Right.
And it didn't mean anything.
Momentum they had going into Game 3 was they came off a relatively easy win.
Yeah,
2
relatively easy wins.
So you think that the momentum train was going even faster.
Right.
And
whereas here you're coming off a tough win.
Right.
Yeah.
A close win. So if anything, Orlando is saying, there's no way this team can beat us at home.
Right.
We almost beat them on their floor.
That's right.
So
they got to be confident right now, Orlando. After as bad as they played the first 2 games, for the most part, they've been the better team the last 3.
You get the sense that it's going to come down to the last minute of Game 7. Whoever's better in that last minute is going to win the series.
Yeah, I look at this, and no disrespect to Orlando, I think they're a good up-and-coming young team. But when you take a look at the rest of, the NBA, I think to get context on NBA playoff games, you really have to watch the other playoff games. And when you watch the other playoff games, you start to see the difference between what the Cavs are doing and other teams are doing. Go back and watch that game last night. Great game, closeout game in Philadelphia. Jalen Brunson, 41 points, 12, 13 rebounds. And the thing that stood out was, when it was a run, when Joel Embiid looked like, he was going to keep them in the game, Jalen Brunson hit a shot. OG hit a shot. DiVincenzo or Hart came up with huge 3-point shots down the stretch. And they did that on the road in a closeout game in Philadelphia when people was going crazy. And if you are
after just losing a heartbreaking game in Game 5.
After doing that,
yeah.
So you can tell when you're able to go on the road and win those games and you close guys out 4-2, you look at what the Pacers were able to do with the close out a team with Damian Lillard, who had a nice game in the closeout game. Those teams are different from what the Cavs are doing. This game should be a game where you say, Donovan Mitchell, hey, you're the best player on the court, close these young dudes out and don't give them no opportunity. Don't give them a chance. Because what happens is if you get to game 7, anything can happen. You're one twisted ankle, you're one knee bump from losing one of your best 2 players, and then all of a sudden you're at a disadvantage. So for me, I just think when you watch the Cavs, it's a little bit difference between the intensity these other teams are playing with, and more than anything, I think we give it too much credence in heart or trying hard or things like that. I think one of the things that we should be talking about is, are you good enough to execute? You just got to hit the shot. That's what we're paying you to do. It isn't, anything emotional. It's hey, are you executing and are you contributing? What is your production like? And I think we need to get down to that.
I really struggle with this as to why they're so bad the last 2 years on the road in the playoffs. I think you got to look at common denominators. Well, Mitchell was there both years. I don't think he's the problem, although he didn't play particularly well in Orlando, and I don't even think he played well in Game 6. He scored a lot of points, but he missed a lot of shots. Yes. And I don't know what's wrong with his shot. Mike, I wish Mike was here. I'd ask him.
Yeah, I mean, the Cavs are shooting terribly from
Awful.
three. Actually,
Awful.
Garland is the only one with a good shooting percentage from three in this
And
series.
that's because the Magic are doing a great
yeah.
job of disrupting the Cavaliers' shots.
Yeah.
I read a stat this morning that really drives that home. One of the things that might be, and I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this, might be at the bottom of why the Cavs are struggling on the road. To me, the biggest stunner is the disparity of fouls, even in the games that have been played in Cleveland. In the NBA, it's almost you can almost take to the bank that the home team is going to get more fouls, shoot more free throws. It hasn't happened in this series. Orlando is averaging 28 free throw attempts per game. Now, I know everybody will say, "Well, that's what they did in the regular season," and they did. They forced teams to foul you, but they only averaged 24 free throw attempts per game in the regular season. Even when I'm watching the Game 5, and I'm saying, if I didn't know by the court decorations in the crowd, if I just watched how this game is being officiated, I would say it's absolutely in Orlando. They got all the ticky-tack close calls. And I'm not saying, I'm not complaining about the officiating. It sounds like I am. I give Magic credit. They do a great job of getting guys to leave their feet. Mm-hmm. They draw these fouls. They're very, very, very good at it. Now, it's a good thing for everybody in the NBA that the team can't shoot free throw. They're shooting 69% from the floor or from the stripe. 69%. In today's NBA, as a team, that's pathetic. If they were shooting 80% as a team, they probably would have won every single game so far, maybe with the exception of Game 1. But so it's the only thing I can point to as to why the games are so switched when they go to Orlando.
I mean, they're the more aggressive team in the paint. They don't have outside shooters, so they're in the paint. So you're going to get more fouls that way. But I do agree in this last game, they seem to get the majority of the close calls. And it's hard. You know, we sit there watching the game on TV, and it seems obvious. These officials, everything is going so fast around them, you know, so they miss it sometimes.
In Game 1, it looked like the refs were going to let them play.
Right.
Remember,
and
we saw a lot of action. But
at times in Game 5 they did, and at times they let very physical play go, and then at other times they called nothing.
And that's my point. That's my beef. So when you set the tone of a series, it's like the umpire. You know this, Bull.
Yeah.
You find out as a pitcher and as a hitter, and all the guys are at the top step of the dugout for the first trip through the batting order. They want to learn together what's the strike zone today. Right. Now, it's a shame that it's different for every single game and every single ump. Fact of the matter is, it's objective, it's different.
Yeah.
Same thing with officiating in the NBA. They set the tone in Game 1. This is going to look like 1980, I don't want to go that far back. 1995 NBA. Right. They're going to let them get away with a lot. And then in Game 5, there was stuff that they hadn't been calling throughout the series. Right. And it was automatically going on the Cavs. And I'm like, wow, what happened?
Sometimes you got to do this, man. And like, I always said, if I was a professional athlete or a coach, listen, I would go home and tell my wife, look, we're going to have to set a budget. She like, what, for groceries? I'm like, no, for technical fouls.
For fines.
This is fine money right here. Sometimes you got to have 25 in your back pocket. That's worth it. Like when you look at the Cavs, right, when Evan Mobley gets fouled, the most he's going to do is this. When Darius Garland gets fouled, the most he's going to do is these guys aren't demonstrative.
Max Strus is.
Max Strus is he is a little bit over the he isn't even over the top. But what they got to do is somebody has to get a good team, right? And sometimes you got to go to that press conference and say, hey, I could have swore we was at home today. I think they swallowed their whistle. I thought we had the home jerseys on in our court, but we got a lot. But we'll see how that works. And if you get the fine, so what? You get the fine. But you got to establish that. Look, and this is how life works. The squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? Most times we know people that work in an office setting and they come to work every single day on time. They don't do nothing. They do their job. They're really nice and they just really want to just come do their job. 9 times out of the 10, that person ain't getting paid the highest. The person that's getting paid the highest is the dude that pounding the concrete saying, hey, Steve, I need another check. Hey, I need this check. Can I go on vacation? Can I do it? Those people, because guess what? As a manager, I'd have been there. I'm like, oh my gosh, Joanne is killing me this week. Yes, Joanne. Yeah. Take another half hour. But when you come back, you owe me some overtime. Those people get it. So you got to pound it into the refs in the league like, listen, I know we just the little old Cavs, but we need these New York Knicks calls. We need them Philadelphia 76ers calls. We need the calls that they get. There's no reason that a young team who is a lower seed should be getting them type of calls. At all.
It is outrageous. I can't figure it out.
I don't know. I don't think it. It's not a conscious thing. I think it just was one of those games, and I think part of it is the Cavs are not aggressive enough. They're shooting too much from the. When you're shooting from the outside all the time, you're not going to get as many foul calls.
I do think the Cavs have done a good job of pushing Orlando out to areas that they're not comfortable shooting.
That's true.
They like being by the basket, 15
yeah.
in. Banchero, by the way, we all knew he was good.
Yeah.
This kid's superstar good.
He's
21 years old.
What's so funny
You don't think?
Yeah, I'm like,
Okay.
heck yeah.
What's funny to me is the first 2 games I was like, he wasn't that impressive in those first 2 games.
No,
but since then he's been fantastic.
I think he's saved their series.
That's why.
sure.
That's why I have a problem.
Imagine they get a good point guard next year and a good 3-point shooter.
I'd be having a problem. I'd be having a problem when people be calling people unicorns because look, we still talk about, hey man, we gotta wait for these 3-point shots to fall. You can be a unicorn. What you mean? This guy's 6'10", 240, 250. He hit you for 39, 14 and 24, and he gave you 8 rebounds. Now Evan Mobley got that block at the end, but on production,
yeah.
That's a unicorn.
Now you got to give him credit for that block. That was a great play.
No,
Unbelievable block.
And that
Beautiful
won the game for him.
1,000% won the game for them.
But if you want to be a unicorn, I got to see that.
Sure.
I got to see those numbers. Yeah. Now I don't know if we'll ever get to it like him, but he's a problem. He's a problem. He is a problem. Good game by Mobley. Good game.
Yeah, offensively, I would have liked him to be a little more assertive. There were stretches he disappeared. He had the 2 big dunks down the stretch. And the block was, obviously the scenario and the situation wasn't as big, but shades of LeBron's block. Because
it was.
That, if they lose that game, the series is 100% over.
Yeah.
They're not going to win a game 6 in Orlando.
And I think people are overstating this. For Evan Mobley to get where he needs to go, I don't think you could just say, hey, hit a corner 3. I think we're reducing that way too much. What you actually need Evan Mobley to do is be able to hit a consistent, if he had a consistent 16 to 17 foot jumper, or if you threw the ball to him in a post and he could hit a Ewing fadeaway, or he can hit a hook consistently where if you get it in a certain radius, it's money. Or he can hit that bank shot like Tim Duncan off the glass consistently. That's where because I need him to be 24. You get Mobley to 24 and 9, 24 and 10. Now you cooking with gas because now you can say, hey, Darius Garland, if you don't do that in this game, guess what? We got another guy down here who's going to get 24. And when you need things and stuff slow down, you can drop it to the big fella and get you a bucket.
Yeah. It's a good point. When you look at those numbers, if we can, Steve, maybe we can put that Mobley graphic up again because I think it deserves some extra attention. In the playoffs, you want your 3 best players to perform better than they did in the regular season. And when we go to page 2 of that other graphic that compares his postseason production compared to regular season, there's all negatives except for the blocks.
Yeah.
And that I don't know how a team can make a deep playoff run if you're not getting one of your pillars, one of your top 3 players, actually playing at a higher level. Like, look what Banchero's done.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a great regular season. In the postseason, he's just become Superman. And that's what it takes.
Jarrett Allen, to me, who didn't play in Game 5, is the only guy that has played as well as you could have imagined.
Yes.
Nobody else on the team has. And yet they are up 3-2, which is wild. But Some breaking news, by the way, non-basketball related. Odell Beckham Jr., according to Ian Rappaport, is signing with the Miami Dolphins.
Well, that's going to change up our TV show a little bit.
Yeah.